everybody, the Build 2013 Hackathon is underway, and behind me we've got a ton of teams networking, building, collaborating, and working together to win this hackathon. How do you even handle the amount of stuff coming your way?
So judging is going to work as kind of like a science fair model. So everyone gets to vote. Most votes win for the category, and then we announce it at the attendee party.
Windows Azure winners.
All right, so what we've got is a game called Captionary, and it's a social game. Pretty easy to describe. Pictures come up, and people choose captions for them.
Yeah.
And you can see how the people, as they write the captions, the judge can see the ones coming in. He can pick the winner, and it moves on. So it's a very social game.
Back, we now have the Windows Azure winners. So can you guys tell me about your name and your app and your team?
Okay, so our team name is the Bottlenecks. I'm Lance Wynn.
Tom Maravilla.
Tony Spencer.
And I'm Jared Roper.
So did you guys actually know each other beforehand? Like, how did you form your team?
So I've worked with Tony in the past.
Okay.
I didn't know these two other guys until Build, but they work for the same company, and so we just kind of met up at Build and formed a team.
Okay, cool. So what is your app? Because this was quite possibly one of the funniest apps I saw, and it looks remarkably polished, like shockingly polished.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, so it's called Captionary, and it's kind of what it sounds like. Pictures show up on the screen. It's a social app. A bunch of users can log in and write captions for the different pictures that show up. Everybody gets to see them. Everybody gets to play. Oh, there's one now.
Yeah.
And you can see how the people, as they write the captions, the judge can see the ones coming in. He can pick the winner, and it moves on. So it's a very social game. It's much more interaction between users versus interaction between a user and a computer.
So like when I first saw it, I was thinking it's like apples to apples or Cards Against Humanity, but pick your own adventure where you get to actually make the sarcastic comment yourself. So
yeah, and that we got a lot of feedback like that. When we came up with the idea, we had several thoughts on various different apps, each one better than the last. And Captionary was the one that came out on top, and we just kind of ran with it. We started putting it out, thinking what we thought would be fun, what we thought would be engaging. Turns out the app itself kind of takes a back seat to the user interaction. So what we found was the app kind of acts as the carrier wave for the fun, and the people who are playing it make their own fun. So it was much less disconnected people posting stuff, and much more several people in close proximity with a tablet, with a laptop, talking to each other, laughing, having a good time. So it turned out great. I think it turned out great.
So what tech is actually under the hood here?
Okay,
because I definitely see what looks to be a Azure, because you guys won Azure,
right?
But then a website plus, I believe, Windows Store.
A Windows Store
Do you
app.
have a Windows Store client as well?
We went down the road with Windows Store client, but we weren't able to finish it in time.
Okay.
And so we ended up just presenting on a web app and a Windows 8 phone or a Windows 8 Store app. The technology is the same on both of them. We were able to port it right across it. It just worked out great. For the communication, we used SignalR.
Okay, so you did use SignalR.
We used SignalR for the bidirectional communication. We were running MVC4 on an Azure web role, and for the UI elements, we were using AngularJS to get the very quick, responsive UI. Yeah, I think that's about it. Tony, you got anything to say about it?
Yeah, actually, we went down the road of using OAuth for authentication, but for the purpose of the demonstration, we kind of moved away from that and let people just join the game as a guest.
Okay.
But we spent quite a bit of time hooking that up.
That's like a V4 feature. Like,
Exactly.
That's not today's problem.
That's right.
So, and then once again, I mean, what you guys just did was the perfect thing. Like 50 hours, it's not needed for the demo, cut it.
Yeah, and we actually got a lot of help from some design experts that were there, Laura and Jeremy, and,
Okay.
and a bunch of those helped us out because we're not UI experts, but they gave us some great tips on how to make it look better, cleaner, and mostly it was about cutting out a lot of the junk that we had added in as developers.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys actually even had time to put in some unit tests.
That's correct. We actually put the unit tests in early on. I was a stickler for that. I was mocked because it was just a hackathon, they said.
I
but,
totally mocked you as I was
code,
up here.
code craftsmanship requires unit testing. And so, so we had a couple unit tests, and it actually worked out really well. What we found was, we got to use all the new tools, we got to play with all the new stuff. So, loading up Visual Studio, the IDE, grabbing NuGet, putting a few packages together. Within, a few hours, we had SignalR wired up, we had Angular wired up, we had a console app running
Are
multiple
these the first
sessions.
times you've actually used SignalR and Angular?
First time using SignalR, never used it before.
Okay.
I did a few tutorials and stuff, but I've used Angular before.
Okay.
Never together, but they just played beautifully, and all the technology just came together.
Awesome.
Really slick. It was a pleasure.
And one of the last night was a blast. That was one of the hardest parts of Hackathon, was when we set up our science fair booth, and then as the hundreds of people just came by, we were, we just had to grab people and pull them in. Hey,
Okay.
come here, you want to play? And
Yeah, so actually that's one big thing I did not mention to Channel 9 Live. Like, we actually set up the best we could to a science fair motif, where it's, you guys had your touchscreen monitor, your app, and we put you in front of it, and people just started streaming by. If they liked it, they put in a token into a little bin, and at the end, the most votes won.
right, so you just couldn't sit there and wait for people to come to
Yeah.
you. All four of us, Jared was over there, he was pushing people in towards us, the others we were grabbing, and it was fun, but it was difficult.
So.
But the great thing was, people would come by, and they'd see the first screen. We end up having like six screens going at a time running the app, and so people would come by, they'd see the first screen, and they'd kind of chuckle, and then as they moved in and they saw captions coming up and saw people playing, they'd get more engaged, and they'd start talking to the buddy next to them, and it just turned into this great social
Yeah,
experiment
I know.
where it was
Like,
bringing people
you guys
together.
totally got me with the exact same thing. I'm walking by and I'm like, "Whoa, what's this?" And then later on in the day, the same thing happened where I think with Brian Peak or Peter Deswick, he's gonna punch me in the face for mispronouncing his last name, but they both grabbed me and were like, "Dude, you got to check this out." So I'm ecstatic you guys won. It was a great job. I can't believe you guys actually pulled that off in 50 hours.
Well,
And once again, Channel 9 Live, I stress 50 hours straight of and these are paid attendees. Like, these guys could go to sessions, and this is what they produced.
Well, I tell you, meeting with the experts, talking with the guys from Microsoft, we got a ton out of it. It was awesome. Thank you.
Once again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you. Okay, up next will be Windows Store.